Could you use a quick tip daily? How about a tip that can impact your day? My name is Rafael. Join me as I bring you tips by experts around the world. These experts have shared their knowledge and wisdom with me and will directly share them with you. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and comment, and I would love for you to become part of the New Tip Daily community. Good morning, Robert. Welcome to New Tip Daily. How are you this morning?
Sifu, it's an honor to be with you as always. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share with you. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so you and I first initially met. We did a special show on Enoch.
Yes.
And what an incredible book. And then you graciously sent me all the rest of them, which is incredible. And what a blast. I mean, just reading this book, I couldn't put it down. Right. Yeah. And then, life gets in the way. And now I am on the second one, which is Elijah. And I was even reading it this morning. I was like, oh no, I got to read more. But we had to do the show. So tell us, I think one of the things is when you create such an incredible journey for us, what's the best order? Obviously, we're going to start with Enoch. And am I doing it right? Elijah's the next
correct.
one?
And then the rise of Cain is the third one, right? So
Cain is third.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm listening. What's next?
Yeah, everyone builds upon it. They're all they end off the next page of the first, the last page of the last book, the first page of the next book. They just continue, kind of like, remember,
which is next? This one.
Then God's trumpets of wrath.
Okay,
those are 5 and 6 right here. Right, yes, sir. And then Babylon, and then Lion of Judah. Correct.
Okay, now I got my reading order. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, they build upon each other with crescendo, and they just continue to go, kind of like, again, like the Jack Bauer 24 series. You just can't wait for the next episode because it picks off right where it ended. You're like, like as I said before, we've had many people say they've been sitting in their car. Those who listen to it, just sitting in their car in their driveway, coming home from work, just sitting there listening, and the wife comes out like, "What are you doing? Get in here!" So, but that's good though. That means people are engaged, and that's that's what any author wants. That's what any reader wants, to be engaged.
Yeah. So how many pages are written here? Because this first book was, let me see, 400 and somewhat pages. And there's no book thinner, right? So
every book is about 450 to 500 in that neighborhood. Like Elijah's about 484 or 485, right in that area. I mean, there's a lot of meat on these bones. So when an author and author Samuel David, the lead author, when you're attacking a subject, just like Lincoln or anything, the more research one does, the more there is to offer to the reader to, get their senses alerted to say, okay, I need to really dive deep into this subject, maybe do some research on their own, which is what we're trying to accomplish here. We want people to get their Bibles out and open up the book of Daniel, open up the book of Revelation, and some in Jude, and of course the book of Enoch itself, not our book first, Enoch, but the book of Enoch itself, written by the prophet Enoch. So the more one learns, I mean, we all need to be scholarly in some form and fashion to the things that we're passionate about.
Right.
And that's what makes a good reader, though, is when you're passionate about a subject and you're eager to continue to pour into yourself. I think that builds for everyone.
Yeah. Well, one of the books that I'm interested about is the last one, which is The Lion of Judah, and that's over 600 pages. Wow.
It's because everything, there's so much to, we almost thought about doing a book 7, but we thought, well, let's try to, hate to use the word cram it in, but it's just, there's so many moving parts. Like I say, Revelations is a hard book to understand in the Bible, but to break it down with lots of characters, lots of relationships, the good guys, the bad guys, the whole thing. There's just so much moving on, and especially the fact that Jesus returns at the sound of the 7th trumpet, and then the New Jerusalem comes down. Not to give it all away, but there's just so much going on. Right. You have to kind of cut it up and say what can we leave out? It was very little things we could leave out. So that's what makes it for an exciting book. For sure. So
yeah, absolutely. When how long did all of this journey from the start take?
well, okay. So the lead author, Samuel David, started writing in early 2011, 12, right in that area. He received a vision from the Lord in a dream, and he started to write. He wrote the first 3 books, and then and they were written in a form that was more first person. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you have so many multiple characters, I came into the picture as he was in book 4 in around 2019, 2020, right in that neighborhood. And I said, listen, I'd love to partner with you and help you with this. And so we then re-engaged, rewrote, re-edited, etc., to try to polish these up. Just like any author is going to take time to repolish something. And like you can always edit a book another 3 more times because there's always things you find later. But then we rewrote, books 1 through 4, and then went ahead and did books 5 and 6, which were the culmination. So I came into the picture, like I said, in the last 5 years, and have been honored to be a part of this. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I am so happy that he said yes to you.
And I'm grateful. And again, it's not about money because I could care less about that. It's a ministry for me. It's about making sure people know the truth. Our motto is truth be told, because a lot of in this world now, truth is not being told. It's being shaded. It's being fabricated. It's being manipulated. And that's not good for anybody.
Right. Yeah.
So
I had somebody asked me a question because I go to church every Sunday, and they said to me, with all the different religions out there, Presbyterian, Lutheran, Christian, Roman Catholic, do you guys all read the same Bible? And I'm like, oh,
okay, well, that's a great question. That's a great question. So let's have some fun with this. So the Bible, of course, was written independently, with the Holy Spirit giving each writer the nod of what to say. The Holy Spirit, speaks to our spirit, and that's when we have a very good relationship with the Lord. But again, the fact that everything flows so well together is key. That makes the Bible so unique. And now to address the different translations, I have a chart that I don't have in front of me, but there's literally, over 30 main translations. Here's what I would say to any biblical scholar out there. I tend to lead towards the Amplified, the New American Standard. They are more to the root of the word. A lot of the newer translations these days are paraphrasing to make it more readable, but they're taking away from the root word. Hebrew, if anyone knows how the Hebrew words are written, every letter has a representation, and a lot of words are tied into agriculture and are tied into growth, fruit, trees. And so everything has a double, triple meaning, but it has both a physical and a spiritual parallel to it. So what I have found, and again, in my research, is that the Amplified Bible is what I've been using for 35 years, closer to 40 now. I still have my Bible right here that I've had since 1991. I've had to redo the cover. I've worn it out so much. So, but it gives you the root of the truth of what the word is. And not to pick on them, but like the Message Bible and some others are more kind of a more paraphrasing. I would never quote from it. I mean, certainly because it's not accurate. It's more of a muse on the words.
Gotcha.
It's not an actual, here's what they said and here's what it really means. Because when we start stripping away the root, then what do you have in the soil? When you take a root out, you can't have a true plant. So I've got that chart that shows you which ones are based on the root words and which ones are based on, someone, giving the paraphrase. So does that make sense?
Yeah. I have an app on my phone. It's called let me look it up. I think it's U Bible or.
Yeah, and there's some great ones. Bible Gateway is one I use online, and it has all the translations. Like one new translation out there that's actually Hebrew. It's called the Tree of Life version. I've got it right behind me here, and it goes to the root words of what the Hebrew. Because remember, the Bible was written in the original texts were written in Hebrew, in Latin. I'm sorry, in Arabic, and then Latin, and then it, kind of spilled out from there. So you go back to those original words. The English language, came later, but I don't know what year the English language began. I could look that up too, but probably in the BC area, but certainly under Rome. But the fact is that the Bible was written in those original languages, and we've got to stick to what the original language root word. We get a lot of our words from Latin, get a lot of our words from other sources. So we have to go back, and Greek. And Greek as well. So the Greek language, has a lot of unique words that we've taken and broken them apart and spun off other words to go with them. So, but that's the fun of researching, is to see, hey, what does it really mean? Like I have a Strong's Concordance back here, which a lot of pastors use to take a word and kind of like prime factor it, like we did in school. Take a 144 and break it down 12 times 12, 3 times 4, break it down to the root word and what is it really saying. So that's kind of fun. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So this Bible that I have, you can pick which version you want to.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
It's called YouVersion, right? So it's kind of cool. And I have friends of mine who are they're like, you have to have the King James Bible, and I keep asking them why. They haven't been able to answer me.
Well, thou comest to meest, forest thouest. I'm not going to be a fan of that. So we don't talk that way. Right. So I call him, and I say this in fun, King Jimmy, as just a fun way to say it. But obviously we give the king credit for having it translated, and that's fine. But we don't speak that way anymore. So there's more. And again, not to get away from the root, but there's more. We want to use as many descriptive words that are as close to the original translation as possible. So I can email you that chart.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let me just make a note here real quick, and I'll be more than happy to send it to you. And again, it's for conversation. That's the main thing. Here, let me write that down real quick. So,
well, the cool thing is, anybody listening, I think that if they want a copy of it too, I think they can reach out to you, right? Witness Partners at gmail.com.
And it was put together by some scholars. Again, nothing wrong with translations as long as they don't stray too far from the truth.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. When because today you're giving me great tips. What's a tip for somebody who is looking at the books that you and Reverend Samuel have written? What's a good tip for them to think about when they pick up the saga, or they pick up just the first book, right?
Right.
And by everybody, this is the first book. Right. If you want to know more deeper into it, take a look at the show we did together on Author's Tales, which Robert goes really deep into it, which is beautiful. Right. But what is should we read? Well, this is what I do. When I read a book, I also have my my Remarkable too.
Yeah.
And I write the name of the book, and I write notes and so forth. That's what I do. What do you suggest somebody, because you said that it encourages people to pick up the Bible, which I read every day anyway. But what is the key takeaway when somebody picks up one of your books?
Well, I've always been, and like you, Sifu, I've always been a note taker. My parents taught me if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. Now, that was a little phrase they had, but always write things down. So in my Bible, I've got it marked up. In many of the research books I have behind me, I've got lots of notes in the margins. Of course, I've got notes stuffed in there too. I've got journals, but that's what makes reading to me fun for those who want to, again, take it to the next level, dive between the sheets, the layers, and see really what is it all about. I'm a big highlighter. I highlight things. I highlight a phrase and say, okay, let me circle back to that when I finish this chapter, or when I'm just kind of constituting it in my mind to say, okay, how does that apply to me? Here's a tip though, is that sometimes what is unspoken or unwritten or not written in the context sends a message. So let me give a fun story that I think we can all have a good time with. So we go back to the first 3 chapters in Genesis. So you have Lucifer, you have Satan approaching Eve, and here's the thing. In an author, in any book, you see, hey, Robert is talking to Sifu. They have a conversation. Now, if there's a third party there, but the third party is not mentioned, that says something. If they're not there, they're not being addressed. Okay. So whenever Satan confronts Eve in the garden, she's standing there, I guess, looking at both trees. He says, listen, you can eat it. He could tell she was hungry. She was presenting herself as being hungry. Where do I choose? Hey, you can have this, that we believe was a fig from this tree. God said, God didn't say it wouldn't kill you. He tried to spin her to justify it, but the whole time, Adam is not being addressed in the story. Nowhere is he addressed in the story until she's committed the sin, ate of the fruit, and then she turned and walked over and gave it to him. Here's why this is important. Now, again, we'll have people who have different thoughts on this, and that's fine. A good conversation is having both sides of the aisle. Is, to me, as a man, if my wife is being spoken to by someone that I'm not familiar with, and I can see something's going on here, I'm going to step in and say, hey guys, what are we talking about here? I think if Adam had been standing right there, he would have said, hey, we're not having this conversation. God made it clear we're not supposed to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Right. So why are we even going here? Eve, let's go. It's time to move on. But yet I don't think he was there, or he would have stopped that, because he had the spiritual covering as a spiritual authority over his wife to protect her from sin. We're here to protect our families from making mistakes as best we can. So sometimes what is not spoken or not written says something. So when Eve brought the fruit, I think every day Eve would have brought the fruit. He ate the fruit, and then he realized, oh no, I'm naked and I see what's going on. And then it says later, when God says, hey guys, where are you? He says, well, that woman you gave me, kind of a point the finger, gave me this fruit and I ate it. And I'm thinking, I don't know what I was eating. Now, that could be true. We don't know. Right. But again, for the reader, for the researcher to read between the lines to say, well, what could have happened? What may have happened? We weren't there. So it's okay to speculate as long as we don't go down this rabbit trail. But the point is, I think there's a cause here to pause and say, okay, why wouldn't Adam have said something? I don't think he would, because remember, he spent more time with the Lord. He was alive longer than Eve. Some speculate from the books of Jubilee and Jasher and others that he was at least 5 to 8 years longer than Eve before Eve was created. Because after all the animals were named, which took about 5 years according to Jubilee and Jasher, that he then said, whoa, I can't find a suitable helpmate. And then God's put him to sleep, and Eve came out of the rib, as we know. So, there's a lot of unspoken, unwritten, Remember Arsenio Hall would go, remember that? So, let's think about that. Let's see where that's going. Again, does it change our faith? Does it change the root of what we believe? No, but it's fun to think about. So when we're all in situations, when we're encountering someone and something's not said, or we read something and there's something that's not said, sometimes that says something. Oh, yeah. Because there's an implication. It's the good reader reads between the lines. A good mystery novel writer or author is able to dance around a topic and not give the clue away until later. And you got to keep turning the pages to get to it and say, oh, I should have seen that. I should have seen that coming, So that's what makes a great book and a great movie is, you can't see it, but if you think it through, you go, you know what, that could be a plausible outcome here. So again, we don't know what happened in Adam and Eve. I to me know if I was standing there, I would have said, you know what, we're not doing this. I know we're not supposed to. Eve grabbed her hand. Let's go take a walk.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
So it's just fun to think about. And then there's so many examples in the Bible of, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Hey, had you done this? Had you not done this? And how did you not see that coming? Same thing in any book we read. How did you not see the bad guy around the corner? How did you not know that? So, but it also applies, if I may say, when we applies in our life is sometimes let's go to when we're in a room and we're conversing with people. They're watching us. The people who we're not engaging with, or maybe on the 10 feet away, are engaging by watching our nonverbals, watching how we look people in the eye, how we treat people, how we are soft, how we are respectful. And they start to formulate not a judgment, but a perception of who we are based upon how we're handling that conversation. And then they may come in and say, listen, I really appreciate how you so forth and so on, did that, I'd like to engage with you. So it's fun to watch when my wife goes shopping at stores and I'm privileged to come with her. Wink. I'm the bag man. I will sit out, in the middle like a lot of get dads do, and I'll watch people. A quick story. I was at the airport, flying to my daughter's wedding last week on Tuesday, and I was sitting at the Chick-fil-A, the big area where everybody sits and waits, and watched this family next to me about 10 feet away. They all had their heads buried in their cell phones, literally, for like 5 minutes. I thought, wow, what a kind of sad, but okay. You guys are having fun, but I mean, no communication. And then the mom's like, hey, kids, clean everything up. The kids are like 12 and 10. Hey, time to clean up. We got to go. And none of them move. They're just buried in their phones. And I thought, okay, let me see how this turns out. So the mom just stared at him for about another minute and said, guys, let's go. We got to go. No movement. It's like they tuned mom out completely. And then she turns to her husband, gives the elbow and say, deal with this. And he's buried in his phone. So he didn't do anything. So the mom finally gets frustrated, slams her hands on the table and stands up and says, guys, let's go. Get off your phones. Let's go. And it just, the light dysfunction of the family where the husband didn't do a thing. And I thought, boy, you need some training on how to be a husband here, because
that's
your
right.
wife says you need to jump. You say how high and how can I help? And what, let's get these, they got to catch a flight here. So it wasn't that they did anything wrong. It was more about just the lack of communication and the nonverbals the kids were giving off to the parents and the husband was giving to the wife. I'm sorry that I'm checked out and I'm not participating in this conversation. So it doesn't say anything bad about them. It just simply says that sometimes we got to be careful to be paying attention to what's around us. They didn't realize I was watching the whole time, and I was not watching to be critical. I was just going, okay, I hope I'm not like that.
No, without a doubt. It's very interesting because I love, when I used to work in Manhattan and New York City, I used to sit by the library on 40th Street. It's between 40th and 41st. And I used to sit at the library if I had a chance to go out for lunch. And I used to just sit there and watch. And it's so interesting because
learn a lot.
The body language, not just the body language, right? It's so much different. I'm talking about, this is 1986, right?
Right.
So much different then than it is now, because people were not on their phones. People were actually communicating. And the way people communicate now is like what you just spoke about. They don't, right? And they only communicate because it's a necessity, not because they want to. And this is why I love reading books, because people will always say to me, can I send you a PDF of my book? And I'm like, you can send it, but I'm not reading it. I said, because I like turning the pages. I
do too.
Feeling the book. Plus, I'm already on the screen so much. I don't want to be in front of it extra.
I agree. I agree. You and I are old school. I've actually never read a book online. I never have. I've always ordered the original copy. So,
can I share something with you?
Yes.
Take a look, everybody. Take a peek. Hi, I'm Sifu Rafael. What if I told you 90 days is all it takes to detox your body, clear your mind, and completely reset your life? Sifu's Mind-Body Method is a complete system that blends movement, mindset, journaling, nutrition, hydration, and fasting into one powerful experience. This is your invitation to get stronger, clearer, and more in control from the inside out. Click the link and join Sifu's Mind-Body Method today. Don't miss your chance to reset your life. I think I also have to add to that the spiritual aspect of it, because for me that's an important part. Because to do all these different things with our lives, if we don't have the spiritual part, something is definitely missing.
It's imbalance.
It's so important, right, to have that as well.
And that's what we lean into. For me, as and I was just going to make another comment on this. When we all need to recognize that we have to be in all moments. We have to be engaged, because in our lives, sometimes we need to pause and see what God is allowing to happen in front of us. And so with that family, had I had a chance, I would have been happy to say something nice and bless them. And hey, kids, But sometimes we're in the cereal aisle at a grocery store, and then the child's misbehaving, and I've been bold enough to sometimes go to the kid and say, listen, is this your favorite cereal? Did you ask mommy permission to get it? If so, she may let you have it, but you got to be nice. And sometimes parents just need a little something to diffuse the situation. So I've been known a time or two to get on the ground and sit crisscross applesauce in front of a 3-year-old and say, hey, is this your and just engage them and get them off their tantrum and get them more just relating and calm them down. Because that's kind of what we did with our kids, and it worked out pretty good. So we'll say it that way, pretty good. So, but the other thought is, what message are we receiving from every experience we have? My wife Cheryl is really good at reflecting on the day. She spends time in her room at night for an hour or two, and amongst spending time reading the Word and praying, she's saying, "Okay, Lord," she kind of reviews her day and says, "Hey, could I have done this better? How could I have engaged with Robert or Susie or Fred in a better way?" She recalls conversations. Women tend to do that a little bit better than men. She can remember everything you were wearing, what you ate 3 days ago, and I don't remember. You and I don't remember what we wore. I don't remember what I wore on Monday. So, but they remember these details, and so she does what's called self-inventory, and goes through her checklist. And did I treat Robert or Susie in the best way I could? I think that's awesome. And of course, she'll be my reminder. Say, Robert, you could have done that better in that situation. So just don't forget next time to be a little softer, or whatever the case might be. So I love the fact that she pours into me and we pour into each other to become better versions of ourselves, with, of course, the guidance of the Lord. So that's
Let me ask you, with the way I see so many people nowadays, and I think you and I may have even spoken about it, people don't connect spiritually as much as they should. And I will see during the holidays, like for Easter, the church was packed.
Right.
And when it's not a holiday, not so much. What is your feeling that you think that are we stepping away from our faith?
Well, here, and I just actually literally taught on this at our church. So the enemy comes to rob us of our time. Now, this is going to maybe give a few people some little wrinkles of, we call it butt hurt. But here's the deal. Our time, we're all given 24 hours in a day. Just you and I are both given the same 24 hours. It's how we spend them that shows us our priorities. Now, I'm not going to say watching TV is bad. Last night I watched a Lightning game and a little bit of the NFL draft. Okay. However, are we making sure we give God time? It's how we prioritize our day. The more we spend time, like we talked about, everybody's on their phones these days. Listen, I turn my phone off every night at 9:30 or 10 and turn it on at 7:30 in the morning. I don't need to leave my phone on all night. I'm not attached to it. We can't be attached to material possessions, because in Romans 8, I believe it says that that we either serve our flesh, which is our soul, which is what feeding us the things, or we're serving the Spirit of God. You can't have two masters. So if we're honoring God with our time, our talent, our treasure, then He comes first. And so therefore we can re-engage, like you said, in church and with people, with relationships, because at the end of the day, you and I agree, relationships matter. They matter more than material possessions. Me going out and having the ability to say, I can do what I want whenever I want. Well, that's true. But with our free will, we have to decide, what's the purpose of our life then? If we're just going to do whatever we want and then in life, okay, yay, what did we accomplish? Really not much. But because we have a spirit that needs is going to have an eternity somewhere, we have to decide, are we going to serve our master, the Lord? Are we going to serve the Lord as our master? Or are we going to serve our flesh and do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it? So how we value our time says a lot about us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, me personally, it's very funny. I will, I'll encounter people on the road or whatnot, and, they're driving erratic or whatever. And I actually, if they're cutting me off, I pull back, I let them in, and then I say a quick prayer for them. I said, listen,
Absolutely.
I hope that wherever you're rushing to, that you get there without hurting anyone or yourself, and and that you find the grace that you need in your
True.
life.
It
So for
is.
me, it's always about looking out for the other person, even if they don't know I am.
Well, what we've done is we say, my wife and I drive to work together 2 or 3 days a week. Is when that does happen, we just out loud say, Lord, we speak peace to this person, whatever they have going on in their life. We ask you, Lord, to take that stress away and give them some hope in a future and calm them down, because either they've got to go to the bathroom real bad, or or whatever the case might be. But we've all been almost run over by a BMW going really fast. We're like, what is this? What's the hurry? And then he's basically stopped like a mile later. So we've learned to not be in a hurry. Surely do things with enthusiasm, but don't always be, trying to beat everybody, because that doesn't really accomplish much.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to remind everybody, pick up this book, right? Enoch. And then obviously, once you pick it up, you're going to go to the next one. And then you're going to go to Cain. I can't wait to get this one. And then we're going to go to God's trumpet. And then we're going to go to Babylon. And then we're going to finish off with Lion.
The Return of the King. The Return of King Jesus.
So, I got to tell you, fascinating when we can dive into a book that really lets us explore our faith, lets us understand what our purpose in this world is, because so many of us, and you said it earlier, we're kind of like blindly doing things instead of having a focus and pursuit. Everybody says pursuit of happiness, but what are you doing to truly find that happiness down the line? A lot of people, they do gratification in the moment. And that gratification may be harmful down the line. So the whole thing for me is, I love the books because they allow me to reflect on everything that I'm doing.
Yes.
Everything that I'm doing. Every morning I ask God for guidance. Please allow me to do the right things today, to make the right choices, to speak the right words, to have the right people in front of me. Like, I'm so grateful you're here with me today.
Right. We're all given a purpose. God intentionally created us all with a purpose. It says in Psalms 139, verses 14 to 16, that our whole story was written in a book before we were conceived. That means God had a great plan for us. Now, the fact that we have free will means we can do whatever we want. We may not stick to God's best for us, but he'll always try to rope us back in and say, listen, I've got something better for you. I was speaking with a lady yesterday, and she had been going through some bumpy times, but then she received a prophetic word from someone, and she cried. She goes, I now feel God's reset me to get me back on my purpose for what I'm called to do. And I was excited for her, because she felt a little lonely at the time, but yet this person gave her a word that she was not expecting, and it cheered her up and it gave her hope and a purpose. So we all have a purpose. Like, we're, my calling is to share the love of the Lord with people, to lift people up, to point them in the right direction, to partner with them, to be the best that God's called them to be, not to tear people down, this is what the enemy does, not to tear people down and say you're unworthy. People experience rejection all the time. That's not what we're called for. Right. We're called to be strong in the Lord and the power of his might, and we're called to be tip of the spear. So find someone today you can bless. When someone says, how's your day going? I say, I'm having a highly blessed and favored day, because I am. I'm not saying I have a bad day. It's a terrible day. What did that accomplish? So speaking words of life, I guess, is to say it that way, is to always be pouring life into someone. That's
a great tip. And we're going to end with that one. Pour words of light unto your brothers and sisters, because we all have one Father, right? So, Robert, thank you for being an exceptional brother to me, and guiding me even in the way. And by sending me that email, I'm excited for it. So everybody, listen, connect with Robert. Robert, you got 30, 45 seconds. Tell us what they can expect when they do connect with you.
Well, again, if you want to enjoy the book series, I think it'll take you on a journey that you least expect, but you kind of want to be a part of, because we all know the end times is coming. Now, it's not coming today or tomorrow, but it's coming down the pike, if you will. But I want both Christians and unbelievers at this point to be aware of what will come to pass. And these 6 books are a journey to share what could be, how it could unfold and play out. Listen, there's going to be a day of reckoning, and at the end of the day, you have to choose to either follow Jesus as Lord and Savior, or you don't. And by doing that, you de facto choose to serve the enemy, which is serving yourself. So we want people, though, to use the books to explore their faith, explore where they stand, just to let the Lord reveal things to you. And so with that, we just bless every person out there. I just wish y'all, I pray and declare that y'all have a great weekend, that you have a great time with him, and that you're just a blessing to everybody you come across.
Yes, absolutely. God bless you, my brother. And everybody, do me a favor, share this episode with other people who need to hear this message.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you you have somebody in mind, but maybe they are not ready to listen to it. That's okay. Send it twice, right? So think about that. Send
Absolutely.
it more than once, and it's okay if they're not ready for it. But you be true to yourself always, every day.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Robert, hang on for a sec. Everybody, take care, and we'll see you next time. Take care.